Good. So I think we probably should start just to respect the time of those who have joined already. And meanwhile, everyone is welcome. And let me share my screen so that we have slides as well as we run a traditional webinar with some slides for sure. But nevertheless, let's keep it very interactive, and we have prepared some really, hopefully, useful content for you. But use this time for ask your question and clarifying everything what might be important for you this morning. Before we start, let us introduce quickly ourselves, who we are and why we are here. So my name is Andres Yushchenko, and I'm co-founder of IBD Consulting. And together with Roland's, we are running this company for 7 years, and we work with mainly technology companies on go-to-market strategy, planning and execution. And so Roland, a couple of words about yourself.
Well, 20 plus year in technology industry, all my life trying to figure out how to sell more, how to market better, how to set up better partner relationships. And I'm very excited about content today because as usually we will be explaining you how to grow business and how to make more money. And I'm very excited to have a gentleman on the other side of me joining Emmanuel Martonka because he's a pricing specialist. And he will give his perspective about pricing, because pricing is super important. 1% increase in pricing increases profitability 11%. That's what I have heard. Manu, over to you.
Hi everyone, great to see you all joining us today. And I've been working on different things with Andres and Roland. I hope I got the names right. For the past few months, and I'm very happy that we have a similar principles and we work in a similar way to help software companies get more clients and higher revenues. I've been doing pricing for more than 3 years now, mostly with tech companies, and I'm very happy to see you all and to talk today about selling with the right price. It's definitely not cheap.
Good. Let's then move on, and we have 3 main topics what we are going to discuss today. It's about first of all, how to identify those customers who can bring you the most value and who are ready to buy from you. So, and we will also dig deeper into how has the buyer behavior changed in the last couple of years and how we can use it for our benefits. Secondly, we will definitely the ways of differentiating yourself, because for our potential buyers, so how can we stand out and how can we build trust and therefore relationships with our potential customers. And then we will dig deeper into specifics of the pricing and how to maximize your revenue and profits while also delivering the value to your customers.
All right, and let's start by looking at, in general, at customers. And here we have a simple graph of company having just 10 customers. Probably most of you have more customers. But if we look at the revenue and profits of customers, actually we see that picture is quite different. And typically for companies, if they look at their customers, they will figure out that some of them are bringing lots of revenue. But if you count everything, the support, the changes they require, all the pain and so on, and you count everything very precisely, you will figure out that perhaps your biggest customers actually are not the most profitable. And if you look deeper, you will probably realize that there are some customers which are very nice, which are maybe not the biggest, not the smallest, but they allow you to make a good deal of profits. And the question then is, okay, but would it be possible for companies to get more customers just like that, right? Can we get more of customers exactly like this? And actually, it turns out that it is possible, and actually, it's a great business growth strategy. So there are 3 steps actually to do. First is understanding who exactly are these most attractive customers, whom you have already, and try to define what are exact properties of these customers, perhaps the size, industry, maybe even things like, I don't know, mindset, structure, technologies they use, and so on. Second step would be to think, okay, if these my customers are so good, maybe I can customize my products, my services to appeal to more customers like that. Basically, here we talk about specialization. Can we get more specialized so that for those specific set of customers, we would be more attractive? And then the rest is, work of marketing and sales, basically getting more customers like that. And, actually, I hope some of you at least are following and subscribing to our Fry Talks webcasts, which we are running bi-weekly every 2 weeks. But just on the last Friday, we had the former vice president of Pipedrive, Jānis Rozenblats, joining, and we talked specifically about what is called ideal customer profile customers. So those customers which are best for you, which are most profitable, which are easier to work with, which are more happy with whatever you are doing, right? And it turns out that his experience at Pipedrive actually tells that it's a shockingly good way to grow your business. Figure out what is your ideal customer profile and then going after those customers. So according to Jānis, actually, and you can all, I will paste the link to our Fry Talks podcasts. I highly recommend listening to this podcast. Actually, what did he say? He said that they have found that the average lifetime value for ideal profile customers is 10 to 12 times higher, right? So that means all the revenue you are getting from those customers who fit ideal customer profile are 10 to 12 times higher, right? That's really huge. That's a massive number. Then he said also that at Pipedrive they have realized that customers who fit ideal customer profile actually they convert from trialing Pipedrive to actually starting paying for Pipedrive 4 times better. Retention is 3 times higher, and actually I understand that also monthly revenue is 2 times higher, right? So that shows really how important it is to focus on your best customers. Now, after we have announced that, let's discuss what are some ways real to understand your audience, understand your ideal customer profiles, and how to make use of that. Andres, let me hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you. And we definitely, when we think of how to identify and how to research your audience, we need to think at 3 levels. First of all, it's about really knowing who are these companies on the organizational levels. And here we are going to look at things like demographics and firmographics. Secondly, it's about understanding how the decisions are made, who is involved into these decisions, what type of criteria they are using, and how do they select actually vendors for their companies. And last but not least, it's important really to research and understand who are these specific people and what drives these specific people in the organizations who are involved in the decision-making process, so-called buyers' personas. Let's dig deeper and look at some of these elements. And again, as Roland mentioned, we have much deeper content available through our webinars. You can always check our website and find it there, or through the podcast, where you can also listen how others have addressed those specific areas. But for now, let us give you few recommendations how you can think of building your ideal customer profile. Roland?
Yes. So again, as mentioned in the beginning, just start with data and information that you have already. Try to look at, historical data that you have in CRM, in sales reports, and so on, and try to identify, let's say, some clusters of your best customers, and try to look at things like those who have average contract value the highest, those who have the longest customer lifetime value, those who have highest profitability, right? And then try to think, okay, what they have in common, what kind of patterns are they perhaps from the same industry? Are they maybe using the same technology? Maybe the size in terms of employees or revenue have some specific patterns. Maybe they are highly growing or something. Then try to see, maybe they have some kind of common situation. Perhaps, I don't know, again, growth, maybe merger, maybe they are to be compliant with the same regulation, and so on, right? So then try just to understand what kind of patterns these are, which makes those ideal customer profile customers stand out. And once you have some idea about that, I would very highly recommend, actually, for more insights, first of all, talk with your sales team, talk with your sales, talk with your support, basically with everyone who works with those customers, to try to understand them better. And then the best actually is to interview those customers, talk with them, let them tell you more about themselves, more about how they see your offering, how they see competition, how they see industry, how did they find you, right, and so on. And that would allow you to really, prepare and define and list the properties of ideal customer profile. And once you have that, you are already on the way to really target such companies, adjust your offering more to needs of those customers, and basically start growing your business.
Yes, and maybe just to continue on what Roland already said, it is also important to understand, as we said, the second, when you have identified your ideal customer profiles, how the decisions are made in the organizations. And we all know that in B2B space especially, this is not a decision of one person. There are several persons involved into this.
So if we look at how purchases are made, and here is specifically research by Gartner, then few things are very clear. First of all, it's not an individual or one person who's making decisions. So typical decisions are made in groups, and group setting typically is also, a bit political, right? So we know that in most cases, if you look specifically about software purchases, then there are some 4 to 6 people involved in buying new software, and 4 to 6 people, that's already quite a lot, I would say. And in terms of who actually is responsible for technology needs in companies, then typically in most cases, in 49% of all cases, there's a formal team of IT professionals. So IT is only taking care, and in 27% of cases, there's a formal team from various departments. So whenever you think about how to better sell and market your product, you need also to understand who's on the buying team, what are the roles, how they are making decisions. And actually, for these purposes, it's we have found over the years that it's extremely handy actually to sit together with your sales team, with your marketing people, and just try on the whiteboard to draft, okay, how the purchase process looks like, right? Who are the people participating, in which stages, how does the process looks like, what are decisions that they are trying to make, and so on. And again, this shouldn't be super formal or super complicated exercise. Just take whiteboard and just try to draw, starting from the customer really realizing that they have a problem, right? What happens after, right? At which stage they are, let's say, deciding about business case. What kind of people from customer side are involved in, let's say, in deciding or designing or evaluating the business case, and so on. And once you draft this process, it actually brings quite a lot of clarity. And here on the picture, you see that different colors of people actually depict different roles in this process, right? So this helps you, again, identify who are the persons that you really need to influence. And let's go ahead one slide. And once you know who these persons are, right, then you can do a bit of a profiling or detective work. You can create profiles of these persons. And then why would you need to create those profiles? First of all, because you want to have a clarity, you want to have agreement within your team who are the persons you are targeting, and also once you have these descriptions defined, it becomes much easier to create marketing materials, messages, sales scripts, actually to address these persons specifically. So here in this example, we have a buyer's persona developed for one of our customer projects, and in this case, that is a chief energy engineer, right? We know that the person is likely to have also some different titles. It may be technical director, manufacturing director, and so on. We have written down what is demography. So we are looking at males aged 30 to 60, right? And then we have listed their professional goals and priorities, what they want to accomplish, what are the jobs they want to get done, what are the risks that they are concerned about, how they make decisions, what are challenges in their job, what are possible objections against our proposal or solution, and what are likely channels or communities which we can use actually to contact those persons, engage them, influence them, and so on. And my recommendation for you would be to really prepare such, profiles or for one or two or maximum three of the buyer's personas that you want to influence, because again, it allows you to focus and it makes work of creating marketing content and sales content just so much easier, because you know exactly to what kind of companies you need to talk to, and you know what kind of individuals you need to influence, right? So the rest is just work of techniques, putting together sales scripts or marketing materials and so on. Then one technique that we will not talk about too much today, right? But one concept that you really need to be familiar is the concept of buyer's journey. And the buyer's journey is the idea that before anyone is ready to talk with you about the purchase, they go through certain mental process. And first of all, they need to realize, do they have a problem or do they have opportunity, right? Because if they don't have a problem or opportunity, they just won't care. They won't listen to your message. They won't open your emails. They won't talk to your salespeople, right? So, and for each of those stages, we can use marketing content. So, for example, in awareness stage, when we need to actually bring a problem or opportunity to attention, we can use things like blogs, ebooks, white papers, industry analyst reports, and so on. So once we have got our prospect moving or thinking, okay, now I have a problem or I have an opportunity, they become interested. And that's the best stage actually to influence buyers, because now their mind is opened up and they are interested in learning more about how to solve their problem, right? So this is the right point to start influencing them. And again, here the best uses of different marketing content, again, white papers, webinars, case studies, perhaps even demonstrations, and so on. And then at the last stage, when buyers are considering purchase, they are very much concerned about risks. So here you need to calm them down. Actually, try to reduce the risk perception. So here you use case studies, reference calls, demonstrations, customer testimonials, detailed cost calculations, and so on, so that your buyer feels safe about making their decision. Again, today we don't have too much time to explain all these concepts, and look up our website, and I will also paste a link where you can get much more in-depth webinars that we've been preparing over years. Now, and knowing this buyer's behavior and the concept of buyer's journey, actually it allows you to develop always-on integrated automated funnels. So you can automate quite a lot. And for example, here in this simple schema, you can see that in terms of awareness, we are using Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and blogs, right? Just to draw interest and curiosity. Then we are using white papers and on-demand webinars, and for those we are using landing pages. So people for example, see your advertising on LinkedIn. They go, let's say, to landing page, sign up for a white paper, right? As a next step, they are invited for on-demand webinar. After that, they are invited to schedule time for demonstration, and so on, right? And this whole thing can be easily automated and basically work almost on its own. But again, today that's not in the scope of the webinar. You can get here, follow the link, and you can get, I mean, tens of hours of webinars explaining how exactly to set this up. Now, to stand out in market, it's super important to be very clear about what you are offering, your value proposition, right? And if we look at it in a very, very basic manner, in terms of what can be called like 30-second elevator pitch, right? Then you need to be very, very clear about who is the audience of your solution. Again, what we talked about before, ideal customer profiles, buyers personas. Then you need to be super clear about what is the need or what's the problem your solution solves. You need to be able to articulate very clearly what's the value that your solution provides. And the most important, and what we will look into deeper, is how your solution is different, right? Because if you are good at explaining how you are different, you can really stand apart with rather unique value proposition. So let's go a bit deeper into unique value proposition. And a good way to create unique value proposition is, again, getting together your team, get in the room product, get in the room engineers, get salespeople, get support, and just try to make a list of your features, of your product or service features, what kind of customer value they are generating, and also list how are you going to demonstrate it, or what kind of evidence you will use. And here's a very short brief list. Let us look at a few of them. So, for example, if you are in services business, reputation is really important, right? So if you are mature and sustainable business, for customer, value is obvious. It means that they have less risk about implementation, about support, and so on. So how can you demonstrate that? Well, it's quite simple. You need to talk about you being in business for 20 over years. You need to talk about the number of your employees. Perhaps you need to mention employee tenure, right? NPS score, and so on. Let's say you have a great customer service, and today everyone claims they have great customer service, so it doesn't set you apart. You need to be much more specific than that. So if you have a great customer service, customer value is obvious. They have less business disruption risk. But how can you demonstrate it? Use service statistics. Publish data about how quickly, on average, you solve cases, right? Publish NPS score. Use customer quotes, and so on. If, for example, you have leading AI algorithm, again, customer value, quite obvious. They can get highest possible performance. How do you prove that, right? You probably should use third-party research, certification, perhaps customer quotes, and so on. So always keep in mind this link from feature to customer value and to evidence and demonstration. Now, let's again dig a bit deeper. How do you actually use unique value proposition, right? And here's how you use it. So first of all, as I mentioned, you create probably quite a lengthy list, and then you need to clear it up by importance, right? And after that, you need to think about your ICPs and buyers personas, because actually, if you want to engage, let's say, business decision maker, the features important for them or the value would be different than from technical decision maker. Also, if you are targeting more than one ideal customer profile customers, probably they will also have somewhat different unique value proposition, which you would need, which you would need then to adjust, right? And once you know what is exactly unique value proposition for a respective persona at respective ICP, you can use that to create sales presentations, sales scripts, objection handling guides, marketing materials, webinars, white papers, and basically what not. Now, to be able to convince your buyers to buy from you, basically you need to do two things. First of all, you need to prove your specialization. And specialization here means you need to signal very clearly that you are very fit for the needs of your ICPs, right? And second thing is trustworthiness. So, and let's now discuss trustworthiness. What is it made of, and how to stay in the minds of your audience? Because it's not only sufficient to signal your trust, but your buyers also must remember that you are actually trustful. You have to stay in their heads a bit. And here are components of trust. So this was research done by Mercury International, mostly in Northern Europe. So I would say this is quite relevant to European region, right? And they listed 6 things, of which the first and most important is reliability. So reliability in short means that our words match our actions. We constantly deliver on promise. We have excellent customer service. We have high quality deliverables. Second is competence, right? And here competence is split into what? First of all, it's listening, actually proactively listening to customers. And second, it's educating, inspiring, knowing customers' industry, and being able to create unique solutions. Third is integrity. And integrity means being authentic, being truthful, unbiased, reliable, right? Fourth is a purpose, right? And buyers will trust you more if you have a mission which is more important than profits. So they have to believe that you are driven by something which is not exactly, pocketing too much money. Fifth is reputation. And what reputation consists of? Reputation consists of being able to bring new knowledge, new insights, being perceived as a thought leader, right? And also being validated by other experts, influencers, and so on. Sixth, and I would say it's quite distant from the fifth, is security, right? So it means data handling, understanding the identity of, let's say, persons signing contract, and so on. So these are components of trust, but let us move ahead and let us discuss, okay, if we are able to demonstrate the trust, let's say with marketing content, how do we make sure that buyers actually do not forget about us, right? And here are some really psychological phenomena, right? And actually, some 50 years ago, psychologists researching behavior have figured out that humans behave in quite strange ways. So, for example, if they can recall something, right, they believe it's more prevalent, more important, and so on. For example, if you can recall, well, let's say some kind of a traffic accident, you tend to believe that traffic accidents are much more widespread than they are in reality, and you believe that this is much more important problem, right? So this tells us that we really want customers to remember us and know about us, and we need regularly remind about us, because the more we do it, the more important and the more valuable and the more prominent we will seem. Even if we are a really small company, let's say somewhere in let's say Montenegro, if our customers in Switzerland hear frequently about us, they will believe we are much more important, much more significant, and so on. And second thing is, strangely enough, it's called mere exposure effect, and it basically talks about the fact that people have positive attitude about something that they see frequently, right? And even quite funny things like Chinese hieroglyphs. If they see them frequently, they start to like it. And I think probably some of you would recall in your memory also, if you are, let's say, going to bus stop every day, and if you meet the same person going in opposite direction again and again, after a while you start to build some kind of sympathy and start telling in your head stories about that person's personality, and you see them in the positive light, right? So for us in business, it means that we need to take care about regular exposure, and we want to stay in customer mind, and that is possible if we produce content regularly, right? Things like social posts, blogs, videos, newsletters, and so on. And for companies, it's important to consider paid distribution to your target audience, because if you just publish something on your LinkedIn page and forget, nobody finds it, nobody reacts, and so on. You need to use paid advertising to show your content to your target audience, and you must do it regularly, right? Now, shall we try a survey? Let me see if it is up. No, it seems it's not up. But let me ask question to participants and just answer in the chat. What do you think? How important price is the factor in decision making after the decision has been made? Is it first importance thing, second, third, or maybe fifth, or maybe it's not even important and it doesn't get into top 5? Oh, poll is up. Very good. Third. 2 participants, okay, 3 thinks that price is third, 5 now thinks that price is third, and 1 thinks that not in top 5.
Let
Okay,
me
so
put myself
quite
on
interesting.
mute, yeah.
Most of participants in our small survey think that price is the third most important factor. But let's move on and let's take a look at the research. And when B2B buyers were asked before the purchase, how important is price in their decision? Actually, most of them, 82%, said that pricing is the most important factor, right? And the rest were features, reviews, demonstrated the competence, knowledge of industry, and so on. And actually, that's quite paradoxical, because if you ask your sales colleagues what your customers are saying about price, they almost always will tell that customers say that price is too high, we need to discount, and so on. However, after the purchase, if you ask the same buyers after the purchase, why did they make the purchase and how important was price? So it turns out that in this process of looking for solution, product discovery, and so on, they have figured out that price is actually not in the top 5 factors at all, right? First in importance was vendor being able to demonstrate knowledge about solution area and business landscape, demonstrating stronger knowledge about the company and its needs, a better mix of marketing content, a higher quality marketing content, and so on. So it's very paradoxical, but the bottom line is that after the purchase, price doesn't even make into top 5 factors. So, and now I believe it's time for us to explore the pricing things. And Manu, I'm very excited to give it over to you.
So salespeople typically come and say that companies should reduce their prices to be able to sell in the market. At the same time, we complain that the value that we are able to capture back from the clients is lower than it should be. And this is a situation I've seen with most companies in our part of the world, is that we create value for customers, and especially tech companies, whether it's services or platforms or products, SaaS products, it's the same situation. You create a lot of value for your customers, but your billing and pricing and your whole business model doesn't help you, and you're not able to capture back enough value to justify the effort. And here, when we talk about costs, I'm not talking only about financial costs, but also about more general effort and impact on your health and your work-life balance and everything else. And this is where pricing can help a lot, because managing pricing well means that you'll be able to balance this image, and to arrive in that context and in that situation where you feel like the value that you capture back is in line with the value that you created. You don't necessarily have to change what you do, what you deliver, the quality that you deliver, the value that you deliver to customers pretty much stays the same. But what it helps you to do is to capture back more of it, so that you feel it's a balanced situation. And the reason this is not happening most of the time is because too many people ignore pricing as a topic or as an expertise. And I've seen reactions like this from many people over the years. After they tried some pricing optimization exercises, they feel like they've discovered hot water. Like, why haven't I not done this before? Why haven't we worked on this many years ago? But actually, when you talk to people and you ask them, okay, how do you calculate your price? How do you decide what to charge your customers, they typically ignore the topic and they say, no, we're covered, we're good, we know what we're doing, everything is fine. Yeah, and the fundamental problem comes from vocabulary, first of all, because we feel like pricing, oh, it's just a simple exercise. Yeah, I put a number in an Excel or on a website or in a proposal to a client, and that's it. But actually, it's a lot more complicated than that, because setting the actual price, okay, is an event in time, but optimizing your pricing is part of an ongoing process which basically never stops, because you have so much information and data that you need to take into account and so many other areas that need to be involved that you can never say we're solved, yeah, we're done, I don't have to think about it anymore. And one of the problems is that there is no education in pricing, just as with sales. I've seen recently, there was a comment somewhere that actually there is no degree in sales in college, in university. Yeah, we have so many people around the world who have to do sales, but there's no formal education for it. And basically either companies or salespeople themselves have to find ways to educate themselves and to learn and to apply some scientific methods and work with this. And with pricing is even worse, because to do pricing well, you need to bring together several domains. You need to understand market economics and how companies behave and how consumers are influenced by inflation and interest rates and all the other macroeconomic aspects. You need to understand financial management, costs, financial impact, cash flows, and so on. You need to understand psychology and how buyers behave when they take a decision. And this is where behavioral economics has brought a lot of help over the past 2-3 decades. But you also need to understand technology, because today there's not much you can do without technology. You cannot. Pricing is not just about calculating a number on a piece of paper and then saying it, and that's it. There are so many other factors that you need to take into account and bring them in a structured way. And data and statistics. Like the analysis Roland showed at the beginning, many companies don't even have that image in front of them. Like, what are the revenues per customer and the profits per customer? When you see it like that, you immediately realize that you have to do something. But too many times, people see just bits and pieces. Yeah, they either see revenues for everyone, they don't make the split per customer segment or for different ICPs or for different customers. So that's why you need to have at least a basic usage of data and statistics to take good decisions. And once you bring all this together, you can go to a very simplistic model, which says that if you want to optimize your price, you need to bring in the same picture 3 aspects. Your costs, obviously, and this is what everybody's already doing, too much, if you ask me. Too many companies are actually setting their prices only based on costs, because it's very easy to put in an Excel file. You calculate your salaries, your taxes, the margins you want to add, any other marketing costs, sales costs, customer service, and so on. And then you say, we've set our prices, we're done. The problem with this is that it doesn't take into account competition, which is another big important factor, which can either make you decrease your prices because you realize there are many other competitors with lower prices. So even if you have high costs, you need to be at least somewhat competitive. You have to reduce your prices, which will obviously have a big impact on your margins and your profits, but otherwise you will not have customers. Or even worse, it's when you set your prices based on costs, but you ignore the value for customers. And in these cases, what will happen is that you will create a lot of value. Your customers would be willing to pay more, a lot more, but because you've set your price only based on costs and you are either very effective, very efficient in your operations, you are in a country with lower salaries than in your customer's country, there are many situations which can bring you to the point where you have low relative costs. Then it means that you might charge someone 100 when they would be willing to spend 300. Yeah? And this happens when people apply this typical approach of starting with a product or the definition of a service, we calculate the costs, we use this to set the price, and then we ask ourselves, okay, what is the value that we provide to customers? And then we with marketing and sales and content and so on. The problem with this is that it's based on the wrong assumptions, because you don't know who are the right customers. If you do this approach, and then you do the analysis that Ron talked about at the beginning, you realize that you have very big disparities. You are charging the same price to customers who have completely different problems, who have different needs, who would be willing to spend different amounts for the same problem. And to solve this, we have to start with the customers. Once you have your ICP defined, you can go out and try to understand very well what is value for them. And this is it's fundamentally a very simple question to answer and to ask, which is, what are they willing to pay for? Your customer has a problem. They can either solve it on their own, and it might cost them a certain amount in time, investment, resources, and lost opportunities, or they might be willing to pay someone else to solve the same problem for them. And whether they save it with a product, a platform, custom services, tech services, it doesn't matter. It's the same principle. They are willing to spend something to solve that problem. You can understand how much they are willing to spend for this without even having a product. It's just a conversation of, I have this problem, this is how much I'm willing to spend to solve it, because I know how much it hurts. And once you understand that, then you can think about how much you can charge, because you know how much they're willing to spend for it. You think about how much you can charge, and only then you go and calculate your costs, and then you go and build the product or the team to deliver the service. And if you look at the reality in most of your sectors and industries, is that there is a lot of competition. Most of you have tens, hundreds, thousands of companies around the world who are able to deliver similar offerings. The problem with this is that your customers will see prices in a very wide range. They might find someone who is very, very cheap, who on the surface seems like they're doing the same thing as you are, because they're communicating with the same words, they're showing the same examples, and it looks like they're doing a good job, even if they're not. At the same time, there will always be vendors and providers much more expensive than you. And the trouble is that most of the time, we feel like everybody else is cheaper than us. It's very easy to get scared, and if one customer says, oh, you are very expensive, then you think, oh, so everybody else is cheaper than me, so I'm doing something wrong. That's most of the time not the case. If you look at trends over time, and this is a very simple example from Google Trends, where if you look at just two basic keywords, best and cheap, the more people, you have some phenomenon which I'm sure you've seen in your personal lives as well. When you start something, whether it's you're a student and you just start work, or it's a small company, you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have a lot of wiggle room, so you look for good enough options, you look for cheap options. The more you use cheap vendors and products, the more you realize that it's not effective, and you start to look for better ways to do it and more expensive ways. And over time, as economies grow and people develop and their financial situation improves, they are more willing to spend more for products and services which are higher quality. Companies go through this much faster, because companies need to spend money to make money. And if they work with suppliers who are cheap, that don't deliver quality, they will not stay in business for long. And that's why for most companies in Western and Eastern Central Europe who have been able to sell cheap something for the past 20 years, it doesn't really work anymore, because the costs have increased a lot, which means that you are left with only one of two options. Either you decide to sell good enough, that you try to find those customers who have the problems that you can solve, are willing to spend enough to make it economically feasible and profitable for you, but they're not spending premium prices. And then you can choose to go directly premium. And this is a personal choice in the end. There is place in the market for any of these. There will always be cheap vendors and suppliers if they are in a place where salaries are cheap and taxes are low and they're not following all the rules and all the regulations and they are cutting corners, and then they will be cheap. But most of the people I know around me don't want to do that anymore, or can't do it even if they want to. And then if you want to sell good enough, then you have to do all the analysis that we talked from the beginning. Because you need to understand your customers, what are their problems, how much they are willing to spend for it, and only then go and build your solution and your unique value proposition. Now, if you do this, you will have several advantages. One is that you will be able to get an alignment on something that very people pay attention to, which is that you can describe your business model in a very simplistic way by looking at the 3 types of metrics: what you bill for, how you measure usage, and what is valuable for your customers. So all that information about your customers, their profiles, ICP, persona, everything can be boiled down to this. And let's take a good example. A good example is any cloud service, from AWS, Azure, and all the others, who charge computing time. They charge for CPU time, meaning that the more you use, the more you have to pay for. If you don't use it, you don't pay for it. And this is perfectly aligned with the value for you, because typically if you use the servers, it means that you have demand. It means that you have users on your platforms, on your e-commerce website. So this is aligned with value for you. On the other extreme, if you have somebody who is charging by the hour for software that is delivered in increments of release every month, and what is important for customers is time to market, basically all 3 are completely out of sync. So you are charging by the hour, and there is an incentive for the team to take as much as they can possibly can, and they don't care about deadlines and they don't care about delivering on time. You report delivering software every month, which has nothing to do with the billing cycle. And what customers care about is time to market. And for them, the faster you go to market with the right solution, the better. And that's why you have a misaligned incentives, because the vendor's incentive is to take as long as they can. The customer's incentive is to finish as quickly as possible. And this is where most of the problems can come. And this is a very simple way to fix your pricing, or to start fixing your pricing, is to make sure that these metrics are aligned. And anytime a customer comes in and says, "Oh, but you're too expensive," instead of lowering your price for everyone else, or instead of giving a discount to sign this client, what you need to ask yourself is, compared to what? If you are expensive compared to how much they were willing to pay, then you have a problem of communication and expectations. So you should have made more effort to make them aware that you are not cheap, or you should have made more effort to target better. If they say that you are more expensive than how much they are capable of paying, then it means your ICP was not either followed or it wasn't defined well. If you are more expensive compared to your competition, then you need to make sure that they are comparing apples to apples, because they might be having a much lower price for a completely different offering. And this is where you have to bring all of these together. Costs, competition, value for customer. And most of the time, you might be in a situation like this where the better you understand your customer, their desires, their needs, and whatever they want, the more you'll be able to charge the right price, a high price. Because actually, you will be not competing against some other vendors. You are competing against what the customer actually wants and what they need to buy. It might sound difficult, but it really isn't. It's just a matter of understanding your customer, and you can ask this question. I know this is typically seen as a joke, and I've seen it in street markets, and it's almost like a tongue-in-cheek approach of justifying a price. But you can have this conversation in a discovery call. Yeah, not like this, but you can ask the customer, okay, assuming that we work together, what is more important for you? To deliver fast or to have a quality solution? Is it more important to you that you pay a low price or to get more higher quality? And you can never be all of these for sure. And this is a very easy way to set your strategy. Yeah, is to decide, okay, what do we want to be? Do we want to be the provider that is good, that offers high quality with the prices to match, or we want to be the provider that is very fast? And then this comes with its own consequences. I don't know if you've ever thought about this like this, but I really encourage you to do this exercise. And then once you decide what is the value that you create for your customers, it's really important that you quantify it. Yeah? If you're selling to B2C, you don't need to do that. Yeah, it will mostly be emotional decisions, and people will make decisions based on other criteria. But if it's B2B, if you're selling to other companies, even if the main buyer has their own personal motives, like they want to get the promotion, or they use this project to learn something new, or whatever personal reasons they have, individuals, because companies buying committees, and it's not only one person taking the decision, their common denominator will always be the economic value. Somebody somewhere in that team will ask, okay, we have to spend this much, how much money are we making out of this? And if you don't make this calculation for them, and if you don't quantify it, they will not be able to do it. Most of the time, whatever amounts they put on the table internally will not be in your advantage. That's why you need to do this. You need to quantify the value you create. You have to discuss it with them openly, and then make sure that you position your price as a percentage of the value that you create. And you don't have to agree with it. I've seen this many times where you give some numbers, and then the customer doesn't say anything. This is a good scenario. If they don't say anything, it means that they agree with it, but they don't want to admit it to you. And if they don't agree with it and they come back with other numbers, that's even better for you. Yeah, because then you have an honest, transparent conversation, and it can help you to understand their situation even better. And again, this is something that very few companies do, but it's one of the easiest things you can do of all the tools you have at your disposal. And just to give you some quick 3 tools that you can use starting in 5 minutes once you close this. The first one is to make sure that you have good competition benchmarks. Whenever you think that you are more expensive than others, make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. These are some real numbers from a study I did some time ago, where we had the same project sent to different companies, and they all gave a proposal. And these are prices from companies for the same project with the same technology, the same team size, in the same city. So all of the vendors were in the same city. Yeah? So they have basically the same cost, more or less. But still, the prices ranged from 270 euros per day to 670 euros per day for the same role. So whenever you think that either everyone else has the same price or everyone else is cheaper than you, think again. So this is really important, competition benchmark. The second one is to use a Van Westendorp type of survey, which is very easy to set up. It only has 4 questions, and it helps you to understand how much your customers are willing to pay for a certain service or a certain product. And the third one is a MaxDiff type of survey, which helps you to understand what is valuable to them. These are all standard surveys. You don't need to know any statistics, analysis, or anything. Any of the big survey platforms online, I use Survey King. It's the easiest one and the cheapest I could find. That they have standardized survey tests. You can just put your content, and then at the end you get the analysis done for you. This can help you a lot to understand what is important to them and how much you can charge, and then position your price according to that. And if you want to go into more details, we have a whole framework and content and ideas built over the years. It's basically a set of 8 practices that any tech company can use to improve their pricing consistently every day and forever. Yeah? This is not about a quick fix. It's not something that you can do today, solve tomorrow, and then you forget about. Yeah? This is something that needs to be integral part of your sales and strategy and your pricing process. And if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, you'll get a weekly reminder every Friday that you have to think about prices. And for at least 5 minutes per week, you'll think about pricing.
Thank you, Manuel. I think it was quite an insightful. Thank you for sharing that. I have a question, and I know if audience have their questions, but do you have a quick example of where the pricing has been used as a way to differentiate as a part of the value, unique value proposition? Like anything
I've done this. My whole experience before doing this full time was working in one services companies and one product company, where I was, if I take the services example, pricing was my differentiator, because all the clients were coming to us asking how much does it cost per hour, but I was not selling hourly services. I was selling sprints of 2 weeks. And the whole conversation was around how we are organized to deliver. We were working with startups and developing MVPs. And the whole conversation and all the documents I had and everything we discussed with clients was how we are structured as a team and as a process to help them deliver quality software quickly. And the way that was made tangible was with the pricing, because we were charging for a sprint of 2 weeks for the whole team. And basically they couldn't buy an hour or a role or a CV or that. That was the only way we worked. And most of the time, clients would tell me, "You are the most expensive, but we want to work with you because you've convinced us that you will do a good job." And that was for me a clear sign that we were doing things right. And that's something that any vendor can do. We didn't have any specific tech skills or something that nobody else had. It was just putting everything together in the right way.
Thanks for sharing this really great example. And I think another one, what pops up in my mind is how the whole, let's say, IT industry has changed, or software industry has changed with the SaaS, introduction of SaaS. I remember myself starting working at Microsoft, where we were just selling expensive software, and every year you was charging customer for, a new release of this license, few hundreds and so on. It was like quite painful for a customer on one hand, right? And painful for the sales. However, with the introduction of the SaaS, you suddenly start to charge a very small amount. But if you look from the, long-term perspective, customers actually overpaying times more than they would buy just, the piece of the license in all times. But nevertheless, it brought benefits for the customers because it.
This is a good example, because now we have the opposite effect. There is a sort of subscription fatigue, and many people and companies are tired of paying for things they don't use.
Differentiate back.
And now I've seen many companies who either charge 2-3 years in advance as a one-time payment, or more of them moving to usage-based pricing, where actually you can keep track in real time of how much your customers are using the solution, and then the billing is tied to that, which is more in line with that, having those 3 metrics: billing, usage, and value metrics aligned.
Yeah, you see, so how many different options actually the pricing can bring you into your strategy, into way how you can differentiate your offer and capture more value and more profit and revenue for yourself.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks for sharing. We need to wrap up. Roland, would you like to summarize what you have been sharing so far?
Yes. So I'm actually very excited as usual about the content we put together, and I appreciate very much Manu's insight. But from my perspective, there are a few takeaways. So first of all, do invest in marketing to sell more, and second thing, review your pricing to increase profits, right? And I would say it's just 3 steps you need to do. First of all, you need to really figure out who your ICPs are and specialize in serving that ICP segment. Second thing, use marketing to build trust. And third, review your pricing every week, because again, 1% increase in pricing allows you to increase profits by 11%. So that's like printing money. So why not to do it, right? And if you are in business that is selling hours, let's say software development, I would say that with help of marketing, you can really sell more hours at much higher rate.
That's excellent summary. And for those who are interested to continue the conversation, I think you can definitely get in touch with us. We have a dedicated workshop for that. Just use the option to register now. We have few slots still available in March, and yeah, if you are interested, just book your time with us, and we can continue. It's no obligation based, so we just would like to have a conversation and share how we can guys help you to improve your lead generation strategy. Yeah, I see that people hear me, but sorry for these technical glitches. I don't know what happened today, but the connection is really kind of not stable, at least at my end, as I understood. So Roland could not hear me. I hope that the rest of the audience could hear me well. Nevertheless, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them now. If not, we are always just in reach of one click or something. Just find us on LinkedIn or visit our website and sign up for the call, and we will be happy to have a conversation with you. Otherwise, I would like to thank you for being with us this morning. I hope it was useful. Please let us know your feedback, because it's very important for us to know how much value we deliver with this content to you, and how much it is helpful for your business, so that we can prepare something new and something even more valuable. Once again, thank you for being with us. We wish you a great success with all your projects, and then stay tuned. We are going to have another webinars very soon.